This is the premise that we haven't decided on a merger yet, and this is almost saying, we're gonna get rid of this building one way or another, and we haven't even decided which building would be better for a merger at this point. So if we do merge, what are we, is it assumed that we're gonna go over to the other church? Or which would be the better space for the amount of people that we have? And so it's hard to make a decision as to what are we gonna do with the building, or even if we do merge, whichever building we have, are we gonna, then, or would we have a property manager to manage different things too? So I'm not quite sure where we're going at this point.
Yeah, sure.
And that's one of the reasons I have comments, and I put the keep it in there, because I want to make sure that even though I agree, as part of the council, we have been moving forward, but this is your chance to say, slow down, or let's wait, or whatever you want. I want to hear that, because when I sit in with council, I hear the same voices. I want to hear everybody's voice. Christina?
This space is really important to me. I don't want to move over there. I've been going to Good Shepherd every other week for 2 years now, and the feel is just different. The room isn't bright enough. So I guess I think that I like our sanctuary better. I think it's a nicer place. And throughout the years, I've heard things like our church is paid off, and the other church is not. I'd like, if we did have a merger, I don't know what's going on about selling, but I really think it makes sense to come over here. But I know there's strong feelings on the other side too. I don't know. It's rough. My grandma came here, my grandma right, and then my dad grew up here. So we got like pictures. I don't know. Since it was Grace, that's how far my lineage goes back in this space.
Did you get that?
I heard it. I don't know if everyone else did. I'm also thinking, could you please write that on the paper, because I don't remember everything, and then we'll have that to consider. I know, it's hard to write things down sometimes. But we will remember. There's at least 6 of us here. One of us should remember.
My question is why do we have to lose this church over a merger?
The question is why we lose this church over the other one? I can still barely hear it. You gotta hold the microphone right there.
That's what I said. Why would we have to do that?
That was the direction, for me, it was the direction it's headed when I took this position. And I think it's because there were people who were interested in the property, and we had a property crew that was feeling that they could not keep up the property. Did I miss something there, Lauren?
No, Lorraine, I think you're well spoken exactly there. Gary, to your point, no, this building does not need to go away in order for us to merge. Most churches, when they merge, they end up having dual assets. They either use one as an annex, or they sell it off, they pay off the other building, whatever occurs. How we got where we're at today is both groups, Family Promise as well as Mono a Mono, approached us asking for additional use of the building. When we started talking to them, we felt it was only fair to talk to all of our tenants that use our building in various ways and ask what resources. And those were the 2 groups that came forward with significant interest and/or plans to use this space. At the same time, we realized, as was mentioned, our Tuesday crew is not getting any younger, and we're running out of steam and/or capacity to maintain the building. So our choice is either to pay for a property manager to maintain this building, or if we want to control its destiny, do something with it sooner rather than later. That's where we're at today. By no means do we need to decide to sell this building in order to merge. I want to make that really clear. You can merge and carry this building with you with whatever entity you merge into.
Just one thing I'd like to say is kind of echo what Margot said earlier about mission and family. And that the two things that I've heard over and over again from this congregation is the two important things are our mission to serve this community and this neighborhood, and the family that we developed here. Josh referred to that as well. And I don't know what the best way to save those two important items is, but I do know that we are not going to be able to continue as we are. Something has to be done. And we have an opportunity with two organizations that we have long supported that would continue that mission in this neighborhood. So I would like to see us at least have Pam Rushing has helped us over and over again. She's a professional real estate broker. At least look and solicit opportunities. We're going to say no. We're going to have a meeting in January. We can say no. But we don't know unless we find out what those things are. Enough said.
And that has been one thing that I've learned in the last 6 months, is that a lot of the people on Tuesday, they're trying to prepare for this before it hits. And I take my hats off to that. But it's been talked about for 9 months too. And it's kind of roundabout that not everything has been said straight up and direct, so I have just been quiet and shut my mouth. But it seemed like to me that we were trying to sell the building before a merger, so Christ the Good Shepherd has no say in the thing. If you guys don't know that, that's something you should know. And I'm not against that. I think that we should have some say, and I don't see why Christ the Good Shepherd wouldn't let us have that. I'm not in their position, but I think I might feel the same way. But last Tuesday, I did bring it up because I knew this meeting was closed. Or I asked, are we trying to sell this building so we have the exact say? And there was a 2-second pause, and one member said, yes. So I don't know if it's right or wrong. You guys need to know that we want to have the say so in the building. I'm not against that. I'm just saying that that's kind of the agenda that's being pushed, guys. So FYI.
I'm going to address that a little bit, Josh. I really don't think we're doing it so they don't get the building, they have no say. If we go to merger and our merger talks, that can be part of the conversation on what happens to the building. So we would continue to have a say in it. We would include them in it. I've tried to keep communication open. I think they've respected our space and have backed off a little bit to let us go where we're going. Because if we merge, whether we bring a building or assets, I don't think there's an intent to just get rid of everything so they have nothing. I do not see that at all. I think we saw the opportunity. I think the crew was just getting really tired. And I forgot my last point on where I was going.
Well, that was the question I asked last Tuesday, and I got a yes. So, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's coming out here, and I don't know that the whole congregation knows. I don't get a lot of feedback. I'm glad you brought that up because
as a lot of things go, there's been a lot of misinformation. And we've spent a lot of time saying, no, the Senate doesn't automatically get the building. No, the Senate doesn't really have a say in it. We are a separate corporation. And they give us a lot of feedback and help and guidance. But in the end, it's up to the congregation what happens. Still forgot where I was going on the end on that. But it really isn't an intent to circumvent or take total control. I think it was more about, we wanted to make sure it was part of a mission. I think there is some concern that if we merge, then, oh my gosh, we just sell the building. Christ the Good Shepherd says, yeah, let's just sell the building to the highest developer and not make it a mission church. So yes, there is some of that feeling there. And I don't doubt that their background is there, because whenever you lose control, You have to, it's like giving yourself up to Christ, let Him work through it. And it's hard to say, no, I don't want to. We've also heard, well, we could sell the building, but we can make sure they can't sell it, they can't, there's a whole list of things that I've heard people want. You don't do that when you sell a building. You're right, we could sell it, they might find out it doesn't work well for them. Or if you give it to one of the organizations, either one, and they work with it and find out, oh my gosh, the building's not earthquake proof and it takes $6 million to bring it up. And we can't do that. Things happen, but we can't control the future of the building, no matter what happens to it. Just like we have no control over our own lives or our own, you sell your classic car, that person could go to the drag race. You don't have any say in it. And so we're conscious of that. It could happen, which is why we're looking at if it's important. Do we want to give it to an organization that we essentially trust to try to do something with the neighborhood that fits our mission? But in the end, we'd have to trust them to do it.
I think for me, the main thing is that we are having a discussion, which we should have been doing a few months or weeks ago. Doesn't mean it's final by any means, but unless everyone can hear what everyone else has to say, in your mind, figure out where you're at. You don't have or you're swayed one way or another. But without the discussions, then it feels like we're trying to put out a fire at the very end because we didn't know what we were trying to do in the first place. I think most of us that have been with this family for a long time, 4 decades for me, knows what we have tried to do and want to keep it that way in one way or another. But if we're going to do that, we're going to have to get very creative. Or otherwise, there's lots of options out there, and we need to look at all of them. I don't favor putting the building on the market to sell it to the highest bidder. But it is an option. And until you know, it's hard to make decisions. And the knowledge is what we need to be getting.
I remembered my thought though, finally. None of this is going to happen right away. I know when I first sold my first house, I thought, oh, I bought it, cool, I've got it, I'm ready to move in. I gave up my lease on my apartment and everything fell through, and I ended up living in someone's bedroom. So you have to know it will take time. And one of the reasons we are here, we are gathering information, is we've talked a long time with Family Promise and Mono Mono. We keep talking about proposals. They can't even give us a proposal without knowing parameters. Both of them, I believe, would say, if it's full price offer, we're not even going to put the time into it because we can't afford it. So that's the kind of thing we need to know. And we need to give them time. Both of them have boards. Both of them have a process they have to go through in order to put together an offer. So those are things that will take time. Pam Rushing did come to me last month and a half ago. They thought they had a congregation that would be interested in the building, but in the end, they couldn't move quick enough to pay full price right now. They said it might take 6 months and they'll have to reconsider. Well, it's already been 2 of those 6 months. So that may be something we go out and look at. Those are options that, like Josh was saying, we've moved forward on a certain path, and that opened my eyes like, oh yeah, there are other paths. So yes, it takes time, and these things will develop and open up. If we decided today we want to sell it to the highest bidder, it still takes time to go out and find somebody. If we want to give it away, there's still a lot of work in doing that. And any time during that process, we could say, whoa, we've got other options. Just because you agree to a marriage proposal doesn't mean it happens till the wedding. My husband knows that. He proposed on a second date, and I said, sure, I got 6 months to change my mind. And I guess that was my attitude, and I think that's same here. We can say, yeah, this is where we think we're going, but that'll give us time that if something pops up, we could change our mind.
Do we have a formal appraisal of the building site?
Yes.
And we actually know what this,
Yes, that's why we throw this $3 million around.
okay, so we know, so has that been shared with the 2 organizations that are interested, Family Promise, so that they have that information, or?
I'm gonna look, I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure
The other
Or
is,
maybe it's not appropriate at this point to do that, but
Do you know, Steve?
Yeah,
the other point is that's the highest and best use, which is the using the building as it is. Finding someone who can afford that for this, I think when they say that, that means if the idea being that if we were bulldoze it and put up apartment complexes, it would not be valued that high.
that is the building.
The building and the lot.
Not just the lot, but the building.
Building itself, yeah, so we have a market analysis that Pam Rushing did, and her analysis is that if she was putting it on the market, she put it on the market for $3 million. She indicated, again, the highest and best use would be not to knock the building down. That would actually significantly increase the value going forward. I wanted to mention just one other thing, sort of bring us back to why we started this process in the beginning. Around every year we have our great cloud of witnesses up here, including my mom and dad, folks who have passed away. There's over 200 of them now. And of course, we don't have a congregation of that size, and we're an aging congregation. One of the major reasons we began this process is because we don't have enough money. There's a deficit that we incur every month. That deficit is being paid for by savings that we have. We can run for a while longer on that, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, potentially, but we're going to run out of money. We don't have enough income to hire a pastor. That's the reality. That's the financial reality that we are living with. And every year, more folks aren't available because of injury, or illness, or age, and or death, and that continues, and we're not bringing in a lot of new folks. So that is our reality. How do we solve that issue? How do we solve that problem moving forward? That's why we're here. That's what the major reason we're here, and why we're teaming up with Christ the Good Shepherd, to see if perhaps we would be better together in one form or another. But money is part of the core issue that we have to deal with.
I'm going to add that actually, to Josh's point, that is the main reason we are going on this. We don't want to ignore the problem and in, 2.5 years, when we expect to run out of money, go, oh dear, now what do we do? When we don't have the resources to take the time to sell the building or look at other things or hire an interim. We want to take action while we still have the ability to make choices. So I think that's more of what it's about than not letting someone else get their hands on it. It is about us controlling it, but it's coming in as a soft landing that, uh-oh, bank account's empty, now what do we do?
I have a question. Do you think people would object if we did have Pam take a look and work with the two entities that are interested, so we know a little bit better about what they can and want to do? And say maybe if we were looking at somewhere around a half price offer or whatever, with the understanding that we're going to support both of those entities no matter what happens. If one of them gets the building, we'll probably make a financial donation to the other one. So they are important to us along with Washington Elementary. But again, I would just say, I would request that we find out and what the possibility is rather than just theorizing.
That's the expectation. If you go to the line that says Family Promise or Mono, check full price, half price, significant discount, we get more than 2 people saying that. I believe that's the action will be taken. We want to be able to say, yes, Pam, talk to them, see if they can put together an offer and either half price, significant, whatever. That's why we're looking at this, because we do want to do that as our next steps. If you tell us all that it has to be full price, then we'll have to take a different direction.
And like you keep saying, we could turn around and say, we don't want to do that.
We could,
We start down this process, and that doesn't mean we have to go all the way.
no. I think we want to make
But we
sure
have to
we,
get the information.
and we also want to negotiate in good faith. We don't want to pull them up, say, hey, I want you to put all this time and effort into it. No, by the way, we don't want to do that. But yes, that's, for both those entities, it's a lot of work. And I think for us to ask them to do it, we want to be serious about it really coming to pass.
The hour moves on, it's getting late, we're losing voting members. I call for the question, but there is no question, but could we wrap this up?
All right, we can wrap it up. I have, actually, Brian doesn't know this. I'd like to interrupt this, as you said, we are losing people. Brian, could you come forward, please? I did have one announcement at the beginning, and Brian, you weren't here for it. So, because we are two congregations, you can just go in the middle, it's fine. Because we are two congregations, this really is the last time we have a meeting without being with with Christ the Good Shepherd. And the council and congregation wanted to give you can actually come on up here because I'm stuck with this microphone. I can't wander around. I know it's a step. We actually wanted to give you a thank you for the work you've done. And it's a card. It should keep you caffeine fueled for a little while. But just, Brian has been invaluable in the front office. I think you all agree any small token Christmas gift is well earned, and I wish it could be more. So. So, I got one more. Okay, Peggy.
Okay, can you hear me? This has nothing to do with this meeting. I just want to say a thank you to, I gotta get my list out, I don't know anyway. To Carolyn, Josh, Suzanne, Tina, Lonnie, Lauren, and Rita. You need to thank them. That's why your sanctuary looks like it does.
And Peggy. Peggy, yeah. And not just today. I think that crew has done a great job all year. I would have liked, I know a few years ago we looked at trying to thank you to the volunteers and the list just kept getting longer. And this one we had to keep fairly small, but definitely everybody has done spectacular work.
I have a question. You earlier referred to the fact that this might be our last meeting as Holy Cross without Christ the Good Shepherd. Aren't we going to have an annual meeting?
Before the end of the year.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I kind of forgot a few words there. I've got a great crew keeping me in line here. Before the end of the year, when we wanted to give the holiday thank you, I try to get those out before, Valentine's Day. Doug has something?
Are we collecting these?
Yes, well, for the pages, do you want to collect those, Warren, since you're standing up?
Without the mic.
Okay, now,
I know we're all thinking about it, but we need to meditate with God to find the answer, and I haven't found it yet. But I meditate every night with him praying, and it'll come to us. I know it will. He's got a future for everybody here within their best interests.
all right. With that, you can go out, eat lunch, go Christmas shopping. It's a jungle out there. I've been there. Be patient when you drive.
Right.